There are over 40 collections in Counter-Strike. Some of them have dragon lores, some of them don't have dragon lores, most of them don't have any skins worth buying. But in spite of that, I went through every single one this morning and found one skin within every collection worth buying for both play skin usage and as a long-term hold. I made sure to vary widely. Some of these are going to be budget, some of these are going to be high roller. We got $5 skins and we got 5,000. Regardless of their price, every single pick is going to follow the same criteria. Aesthetic demand, float mechanics, no China speculation, the China loadout, that's another video for another day. This is strictly going to be the homework, but this is good homework to see what are the next probable pump. I've been staring at collections since 2015 when Operation Bloodhound came out. I thought they were much cooler, way more rare than the cases, you looked unique when you were in game, so I have much more love for the collection skins than I do cases. So without further ado, let's get into this bit. Now, let's lay out some quick ground rules. Unless I say otherwise, the skin is going to be factory new, and it is going to be non-souvenir. I've purposefully mixed budget options with high tier options so that this isn't just an exclusively rich man's shopping list. Anyone can listen and anyone can participate. And again, these have nothing to do with China or Chinese pumps. That will be a separate video. Also worth noting, like much of the coverts and cases before that trade up update, a lot of the higher tier items within each collection are probably not going to be your best bet, right? Because there's no knife to trade up to, and thus the coverts stack up in supply and don't really have a way to get rid of them. So unless the skin is an absolute banger, a lot of them will be non-typical. And if you want to see me shop for a couple of these weapons afterwards, I'll be live on Twitch, and we're also doing an inventory review. The best and worst inventories get a skin. So let's get the weird shit out of the way first. With that being said, not a lot of items within these collections, so we're gonna have to be pretty diligent with our selections. New collection will of course be the M4A4 radiation hazard. This one will only get rarer over time. It has a 0.06 to 0.8 float cap, making it very valuable and factory new. And it is not the highest tier within the collection, meaning that, you know, there is still some supply sink in terms of trade up. And there is a case for buying souvenirs here. The gun itself is very old, so if you can find a nice rare souvenir sticker M4 radiation hazard, it's going to be a pretty sick pickup and it will gain value. This one brings back memories. This is how I got scammed on CSGO Lounge when I was a child with the old factory new and minimal wear skin. Staying with that M4 theme, moving into the Militia collection, we're going to go with the M4A4 Modern Hunter. Fun fact, for a long time, this was actually the most expensive skin within the game. Another 0.06 to 0.8 float cap, making it very rare. And because of that, what it trades up to, the Scar 20 Splash Jam, is also a very rare, very highly sought after gun. The Scar 20 Splash Jam in factory new, there is only 54 of them in circulation, and they've been around for 13 years. That one's not going to be a great investment though. The people who have one of those 54, they know what they have and they will charge you knowing what they have. So the Modern Hunter will be the pick. Next up, the Dust collection, as it has a, now the Deagle Blaze is kind of forgiving because it has a 0 to 0.08 float cap, meaning that the mil specs in the collection, you know, don't command too much value because you can use anywhere you'd like. So my pick will be the AUG Copperhead. It has a float range of 0.12 to 0.35. It's a narrow range and it doesn't start at 0, and with such a small range, a few decimal spots can make a world of difference. So if you look diligently, you'd probably be able to get yourself a good deal. Next up, the Office collection. The Office collection is a fucking weird collection, but it has been seeing quite a bit of attention lately, and that's for a few reasons. Now, the MP7 buff allowed the MP7 Whiteout to reach its full potential. The gun's viable now, which means buying play skins for it is viable now and justifying spending X amount of money on a all-white MP7. And we're all about the buff theory. We called the MP7 Fade, basically hinging on the fact the MP7 gets buffed. The P2000 Silver, however, is a different story. It has nothing to do with the gun being good. I think they're just tying it to the price of actual real-world silver. Don't know what's going on there. I'd rather go with the MP7. I don't care if it's $8,000. And the Mirage collection. Now, the Mirage collection is the best of the worst right here in this little group of misfits. These skins actually have, you know, some modicum of promise, and they've been discontinued long enough that they're going to start to become pretty rare. I do love the Mag 7 Bulldozer personally, but it does wear quite a bit, so I don't really like it too much as a play skin, especially when the MP9 Hot Rod exists within this collection as well. The MP9 Hot Rod looks fucking sick, A, and B, it's just constantly going up and down from 100 to 500. So I flipped it like 4 times last summer. Combine that with the fact that it looks genuinely good in game. That means you have liquidity, you have demand, and you have a good looking skin in the meantime. Really easy play there. All right, we're going to rapid fire through some of the real bullshit junk right now. Boom. First, Overpass, CZ75 Nitro. 0.06 to 0.8 float cap, so good fundamentals to start off with there, especially in factory new. This collection looks very good and it hasn't really moved all too much, which means I think it has room to run in the future, making this one a pretty easy buy right. Next collection, the Alpha collection, the first collection ever added to the game. It will be the Scar 20 Emerald, of course. We've talked about this one last week on DE News China, so not only does it have that fact playing into it, but it does have great fundamentals. It's extremely old, and the demand for Emerald skins will only go up, especially if that Scar 20 gets a little nudged by Valve. Now, every skin in the Aztec collection is fucking $8,000, except for the Tech 9 Ossified, the most rare one. So, kind of having to choose that one by default, but I don't see it being too bad in the short term, especially with the attention it's getting. The Baggage collection, the USPS Business Class. The USPS Business Class is a 0 to 1 float cap, and it of course has a decreasing supply because it is not the highest tier. The AK Jet Set is, and it doesn't have a lot of demand, so any increases in price, aren't really going to be realized. It's going to take a while for it to get out of your inventory. So stick with the business class. It's cheaper, it's affordable, it matches a lot of inventories, and honestly, like, Baggage collection fucks. Cash. We had the MP9 Setting Sun hit like $1,000 a month ago, and now it's 90. It's 0 to 1 float cap. It's an MP9, and I think it'll get an extra bit of hype and price pump when Cash inevitably releases at some point this year. The Black Site collection. There is one gun in the Black Site collection, so I have to choose it. So the MP5 Lab Rats. Congrats. Next up, the Train collection. And within Train, we're going to go with the M4A4 Urban DD-Pat. The Urban DD-Pat is what the Achroma collection wishes it could be. OG skin looks great in a lot of white and black inventories, obviously, and it has received pump attention, and I can see it getting pump attention again. Great fundamentals, 0.06 to 0.8, nothing to complain about here. And Vertigo, the PP Bison Carbon Fiber. Now, the PP Bison Carbon Fiber is the only light blue in the collection, which is weird because there's 2 grays and 2 blues. One of which being the AK Black Laminate. Now, as the Black Laminate gets rarer, your PP Bison is going to increase in price because it is the only way in which to trade up to it. Guaranteed, too, because the Bison is the only option, so you win by default. Now, those were the weird ones, and they're weird and they're illiquid, but there is a lot of room to grow there. The active drops that we're about to go into, the edge is going to be a lot smaller, and we're going to have to be a lot more diligent with our plays. We're going to first start off with the Harlequin collection, and we're going to go with the UMP Warm Blooded. The UMP Warm Blooded is the highest float range within the mil specs or blues, and it trades up to the USP Sleeping Potion, a very popular new USP, and the AWP Exothermic. While it's not very popular, it is an AWP, it'll hold its value. And that filler demand is going to flow into the UMP before everything else because it does have the highest range. You're going to want to look for it under 0.049 float. Next up, the other new collection, the Achroma, which is one of the worst collections ever made. So by default, we'll have to go with the AWP because it's one of 2 good looking skins. Now this one is 0 to 1, which means it's 3% chance of factory new drop within the weekly pool. And it's the only good looking one besides the Glock. I would hold off on this one, as well as the Harlequin, because they're so very new still. The one I would get from Ascent is going to be the Midnight Laminate. This one's a pure play skin play, because we don't know the removal timeline. It could never get removed. So this one will hold its value the most, because it's a play skin. But I am leaning towards Valve rotating these collections more often than not. All of these collections seem to have a color theme, so, it's only obvious for them to just continue with more colors. Which brings me to Boreal, the green collection. Same thesis, and I'm going to go with the Glock 18 Glockingbird. This one looks fucking dope as hell, and it matches the lore knife and green gloves, racing green gloves, perfectly. The Winter Green AK is a good shout here as well, but it is a tier lower, and an active drop collection such as this one, that's a pretty big difference in supply, and that's ultimately going to play a role. And lastly, the Radiant collection, AK Nouveau Rouge. You already knew what the fuck was coming. Besides the Alt Prince, this is the best skin in the fucking game. It's not really close. And it's 0 to 1, because it knows how to please me. 3% chance to get factory new, and it's a pink. It's the hardest one to get within the collection. And it's maintained its floor the entire year it's been out pretty much. Of course, it's gone down from the original price points, but it's held pretty steady at around $200. I've had it for 2 months. It has not decreased in price. Floor don't break. And even if it did, I don't give a shit. Skin rocks. And I didn't know where to put this one, so Anubis. I'm gonna go with the Mag 7 Copper Coated. This is an interesting skin because all of the purples within the collection are 0 to 1, meaning that trading up to it is going to require a factory new skin itself. The Mag 7 Copper Coated is the only 0 to 1 within the Anubis collection, which means it's going to be people's primary vehicle to get to the purples within the Anubis collection. And that pressure is making the copper coated look better than it is on the surface because it looks like I took a shit on it. Now these are the old active collections that, the ones that make you viscerally angry when you get one. Like Lake. And Lake, we're going to have to go with the Safari Mesh because it's the only skin that is not terrible. But it does have good fundamentals, 0.06 to 0.8. That's what we like to see. The Safari Mesh is basically CS's meme coin at this point, so I guess it could run. Which brings us into Dust 2, fittingly the AK Safari Mesh. Arguably more popular than the AWP Safari Mesh. The P250 Sand Dune also lives within this collection, but that kind of deserves its own video, so we will go with the AK here. Bank, AK Pinstripe, OG skin, 0 to 1, and when in doubt, you go with the AK, because it's a play skin, and it'll always have demand, regardless of how the collection as a whole is faring. And just think about how many fucking trade-ups Sparkles did with these motherfuckers right here. A lot of these things have been burnt so far. Probably the best one in this collection has. And the most recent death, Safehouse M4 Nitro. Again, 0.06 to 0.8 float cap. So not overly inflated. But we'll get back into this one a little bit later. 2018 Inferno is going to be the AK safety net. It's not super expensive right now, and it trades up to the guns we know all too well on this channel, the SG Integrale and the Dual Berettas Twin Turbo. And it's an AK. People will buy it, even though it looks like a fucking stupid traffic cone. And the Tech 9 remote control. The M4 control panel's too high right now, and we called that shit back in November. That shit's old news. The Tech 9 will rise because people are going to try and trade up to the M4, not get it, and waste all of the purple supply, making the Tech 9 rare by default. Kind of why the Glock Brass is so expensive in that Dust collection, because everyone was trying to get the Deagle Blaze. Now they've just run out of everything. And the Italy collection. Glock Candy Apple. Honestly, clean as hell. Candy Apple fucking rocks. And it has something to trade up to in the AWP Pit Viper. And even though it's a blue and it's been in the active drops for 10 years, it's already seen pressure from pump groups, right? It's not a stranger to price action, so definitely not opposed to this purchase, especially when it's $1.50, $2. And now, allow us to get into the armory. Go watch literally any video I've made in the last 2 weeks, but I will share with you the graphic design collection as that one's gone. And that'll be the M4A4 Poly Soup. Now this one trades up to the Deagle Starcade, which is probably the more popular skin in the collection, more popular than the AWP at least. And it's a nice looking play skin, right? It fits a lot of purple inventories, right? There's not a lot of purple M4s. The M4A1S stole all of those. I think in time this one will run for sure. Now we're gonna get into the real juicy shit. But one more weird collection before that, and that is the Inferno collection. Now, the highest rarity tier within the Inferno collection is a blue, so you already know what the fuck bullshit I'm working with. But there is a gem here, and that gem is the M4A4 Tornado. Not only does this thing look fantastic in CS2, it's got that 0.06 to 0.8 float range. I have a fun fact for you. Did you know that all of these skins were default 0.06 to 0.8 when CSGO came out? It was not 0 to 1. 0 to 1 had to be specifically requested by the person or artist who made the skin, or else it was defaulting to 0.06 to 0.8. So Factory New was incredibly rare. So if you ever wanted to use one in a trade up, it would be very valuable, Factory New Tornado, but it's just too expensive, too rare to use. And honestly, this one's so old that it's probably not a bad idea to buy a souvenir one either. So I searched, and of course, UU Skins, today's sponsor, they had the perfect M4 Tornado. 2 Katowice 15 gold stickers, the ESL logo, and a Virtus Pro Holo from 2017. And that's just the daily purchasing activity of a gentleman who uses UU Skins like myself. And that's because I get access to the Chinese marketplace whenever I feel like it, without having to create a VPN or use Alipay, whatever the fuck these people do. I don't gotta do any of that. In fact, I don't have to do much at all. I place my order, it's guaranteed to come within the next 10 hours, and if I have any problems, I just hit up support, and they're there 24/7, always on the go, always on the ready, helping me out. Tons of listing, cheap prices. My Tornado was $20 cheaper than any other Tornado on float. All these things combined for, just a outstanding CS marketplace. So if you haven't been on the website, consider trying it out by scanning the QR code on the screen right now. You will not regret it. Now for the high tier shit. Assault. Honestly, gun for gun, the Assault collection is tight as fuck. The Glock Fade is too expensive to justify purchasing, I believe. So my pick is going to be the MP9 Bulldozer. The MP9 Bulldozer looks sick. It doesn't wear as much as the Mag 7 does. And that bright yellow, it's just not on a lot of skins. Very unique skin, 0.06 to 0.8 float cap, which only makes it a better purchase in Factory New for you. This one's going to get more expensive over time. Going to be a long-term hold, but you'll have no problem with that once you pull it out in game. The Ancient Collection, we stick with our guns. AUG Carved Jade. What China did with the Dusk Ruins was out of a movie. It like 20x. And the Galil Dusk Ruins looks like shit, The AUG doesn't. We're just gonna have to wait and see on this one, but there's no reason to really look into anything else in the collection when we have our movements right here. The Cobblestone collection, probably a cop-out, but we're gonna go with the Dragon Lore. Now, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The Dragon Lore will never lose its value. I don't care what the price is. The fillers are all inflated to hell because the Dragon Lore exists within the collection. There's like 5 knights left, and the Dragon Lore will forever be the skin. The gold standard. If you made it, you got the D-Lore. Doesn't matter how the market moves or what the sentiment is. If you ask someone what the most iconic skin is, it's going to be the Dragon. Now, this is Operation Shattered Web, Canals, Norse, and St. Mark. These 3 could be talked about in tandem. They were all part of the same operation, and they all have a notoriously low supply. Thus, notoriously low reds, pinks, purples, blues, all of it. And they're only going to get rarer over time. The least demanded one is Canals for some reason. People are blind, I guess. And we're going to go with the Tech 9 Orange Murano. The Tech 9 is a constant source of attention for manipulation, even though I said we're not going to focus on that. It's just a fact. And it looks like it's still got some legs to run. It has a good float cap. It's receiving special attention. No reason not to hold one of them. Next for the St. Mark and Norse collection, right? Same thing with the Cobble, right? These have extremely high tier #1 red items, Wild Lotus and the Gungnir. So the trade-ups are going to be priced in. You're not going to find a cheap one. You might as well go for the best play skin, and that is the M4 Moss Quartz for Norse and the M4A4 Dark Blossom for St. Mark, right? The Moss Quartz genuinely could have been a covert in a different collection. Now, Operation Bloodhound. I mentioned this one at the top because this is where it all started for your boy. Everyone was fawning over the AK Aquamarine. I was fawning over the AK Hydroponic. The skins in these collections are sick as fuck. The Rising Sun collection probably has the best collection in the game, top to bottom, right? In terms of the total package, every skin in that collection looks good. And the best thing about them is they felt like a secret, right? Everyone was talking about the Falchion case. No one was talking about the fucking Gods and Monsters. For the Gods and Monsters collection, our pick is going to be the MP7 Asterion. We've already made this call before on the channel, and it has run up quite a bit. Although I can see it going up a little bit more. It sits at around $17, right? The MP7 fades 25, and there's 8 billion of those. So I can see it at least getting to that price point. For the Chop Shop collection, we're going to go with the USP Para Green. Right? Reason A is it's green, because that's a reason now that I have to include. B, 0 to 0.8 float cap, which is the best within its rarity range, and it trades up to the P250 whiteout. And you know how hard it is to find fillers for those fucking damned whiteout skins. And it looks good. Lime green. Not a lot of skins like that in the game. And lastly, Rising Sun. It's gonna have to be the AUG, because there's no more supply of this gun. You need an AK Hydroponic as a filler, and that is simply never going to happen in a meaningful amount anymore, if ever. The supply right now is the supply it's always going to be, and if the player count increases, as it always does month over month, well, then there's going to be less AUGs to go around for each person. 2 really other cool collections, Havoc and Control. For Control, we have to go with the blue phosphor. I know it's expensive already. However, I can't help but think Valve is just bound to make the blue skins and sapphires look better in this game. And when they do, or if they do, when they do, or if they do, that shit is gonna fly. Havoc has the AK X-Ray, ugly as shit, so we're gonna go down a couple tiers to the P250 Bengal Tiger. Now, much like the Splash Jam, there's not a lot of these in factory new, and it's 0.06 to 0.8 like the P250 Whiteout. This one's also pattern based, so if you scroll through it, you can see you can get a max orange, max white. I don't think a lot of people just know about this P250. I've been talking about it on this channel for months at this point. And the last operation, 2021, Operation Riptide. We're going to start off with everyone's favorite, Train 2021. If you've seen my video around last week, you'll know the Coalition is structurally harder to get because of the trade-up system. The Glock Gamma Doppler, each phase is counted as an outcome. So the Coalition is rarer than what it should be in terms of trade-ups. On top of that, you don't have many fillers, because one of the fillers for that is the USP Whiteout, which is our choice for the collection. 0.06 to 0.8, duh, all white, looks sick, good sticker craft gun on a USP, right? The gun you have every round. Mirage 2021 Desert Hydra. Some movement already, because here's the thing. If you saw my video a couple days ago, it's a real possibility Mirage goes. Dust 2 goes. Not the map, the collection at least. And once the Desert Hydra and the Gold Arabesque start dropping, or stop dropping forever, that's when you're going to start to see real price movement. I think the AWP Desert Hydra has the more conviction out of the 2 for me, because I do think it has D-lure potential in terms of notoriety. Not in terms of price, the supplies are too different, but it's going to be highly sought after regardless. Dust 2, the Mac 10 case hardened. I didn't even know this gun existed, and it seems Valve has moved on to the heat treated anyway, so I don't think there's going to be more case hardens in this game, which means this could become a relic. Doubly so if they get removed soon, triply so if you get a blue gem. Lastly, 2021 Vertigo 5.7 Fall Hazard. I love this 5.7. It's my main play skin. And on top of this, it starts at 0.01 for its float, which is not whiteout level crazy, but it's a little bit odd, and it just decreases your ranges, and it just decreases your rate of getting factory new that much more. And it seems to have mattered, because you need those factory new skins to get the imminent danger in factory new, which is one of the rarest guns in the game in factory new condition. Now, I'll give you, in my opinion, the most undervalued of this list I just gave to you. And I'll give you two. One budget, one expensive one. The budget one, the M4 Nitro, right? This is a very good, clean canvas skin. I think this one has pump potential, right? Because you can't really get rid of that supply. Honestly, it might be better to get Souvenir, but that one's up to you. It's going to be much more liquid, and that's just the sacrifice you have to take. For the expensive one, I'm going to go with the AWP Desert Hydra. I just think that Mirage is going. Sooner or later, they gotta fucking revamp this map. And a new collection will come with it. And I think it's time to retire the Desert Hydra. It's been, it's done its job. It needs to go. And it needs to be remembered as one of the best skins added to the game. And that'll do it. That's every collection. One pick each. Play skins and investments. 2 for the price of 1. If you've been watching, you already know the deal. I did the homework, so you don't got. I'll see you on the stream later, hopefully. Peace.